For more, I'm joined by Varghese. Venu is a criminal defense attorney and a former prosecutor. Venu, welcome. It's good to see you. So we heard testimony from Genevieve Hansen, a Minneapolis firefighter who was off duty at the time, but still tried to intervene and get officers to check for a pulse on George Floyd. How important was her testimony?
I think all these witnesses are harmful for Derek Chauvin. I mean, you have a series of witnesses that are recounting things in emotional detail. But the good thing for Chauvin is that this trial will take a long time. It'll be spread out over the next couple of weeks. And by the time that the jury hears or gets to closing arguments, the emotional impact of these witnesses will have it. So by that point, they're going to hear arguments and they're going to get back to the cold reality of it, which is, did Derek Chauvin kill George Floyd? Yes, he was involved in his death, but did he murder him? Or did he commit manslaughter? These are legal terms, and those are the terms and the things that his lawyer will be doing to put reasonable doubt into these jurors' minds. So yes, it's a rough day, but it's a long trial.
Well, we also heard from the teenager who captured that video of the arrest. How critical is her testimony and the video itself to this case?
Well, the video is what the prosecution is banking on. You have a video that appears to be brutal. It appears that Chauvin put his knee on the neck, causing the death, and you see George Floyd fade into oblivion and die right before your eyes. The question is, was he the main cause of his death? Did he do it intentionally? Did he do it with such reckless disregard for human life? These are legal terms. So in terms of the teenager, just like the EMT, just like all these witnesses, they have an emotional impact. Eventually, the more these witnesses the prosecution brings forth, the more dull the impact will be, because eventually the jury is going to get tired. So at a certain point, the prosecution has to say to itself, okay, when's enough is enough? But who knows if they will make that choice and continue, or will they continue on this path?
And Venu, you touched on this and how emotional this is. Several witnesses described how they perceived Derek Chauvin during George Floyd's arrest. One described him as hostile. Another said he had looked heartless. How might these testimonies impact prosecutors' case?
Look, these are impressions, right? But only Derek Chauvin knows what was in his own mind. And if he is going to get out of this, he's going to need to testify. And he has an advantage here. Unlike 99.9% of people who testify at trials, other than expert witnesses, he's actually had training in testifying. You're given training as a police officer on how to testify before a grand jury, a trial jury, and to face hostile cross-examination from defense lawyers like me. So he will have, in this case, the roles are reversed. He's going to face the questioning from the prosecutors. So he's going to need to explain to the world what he was thinking and why he did what he did. That, combined with the medical evidence that George Floyd was high, that he had all these health problems, could lead to a reasonable doubt verdict.
Well, finally, as we heard in Jamie's piece, there were some tense moments between defense attorney Eric Nelson and Donald Williams, who witnessed George Floyd's death. Now, the defense focused on Williams' behavior and name-calling toward the officers. What was the defense's strategy there?
I think it was actually a very sound, smart strategy on the part of Mr. Nelson. I've been critical of Nelson and some of the way he's conducted jury selection on some other networks that I've commented on, but I think today was very good for him, and I think he'll come back to this by not portraying. By Williams, he's going to say Williams was a biased witness for whatever feelings he had, that he's not a real expert, and ultimately, there's an issue here that they've created for appeal. I mean, Williams basically gave the equivalent of expert testimony. You shouldn't be both a fact witness and an expert, right? So he's there trying to give testimony on what he believes is murder, but he's too emotionally charged. He's not detached. And so this is stuff that's going to help the defense, at least on appeal, and for hopefully for Chauvin, for his sake, here, because he's going to say that this witness was biased and could not give proper testimony. In fact, the chokehold, the hold that Chauvin used was legal, was permitted in Minnesota. So therefore, how could it be a death hold? How could it be what he had described over the course of 2 days as a life being sucked out of him?
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I imagine that some people, though, watching may say to themselves, you know, it would certainly be understandable that if someone was witnessing something that they believe to be murder, that they would, in fact, act in an emotional way, and that would be something that would certainly stay with them and not necessarily cloud their ability to discuss what it is that they witnessed, emotional or not. But certainly, these are things that we're going to certainly watch here
Well, that's what
as
the
this trial
attorney's going to attack.
progresses. Vanu Varghese. Yeah. Yes. Vanu, thank you very much.
My pleasure.